Weekdays just got a whole lot of better. Get ready to experience a world like none other. This is the Rich Banks Show with your host, Rich Banks. Before we get started, we're going to get ready to talk to you a little bit about our sponsors. Shout out to Illicit Sound and IMN Media for helping produce the show. So today we got a special guest who we're going to talk to. His name is Wes Miller, and he's the director of a new film. It's called A Day to Die. Wes, say hello to the fans.
Hey everybody, and thanks so much for having me on, my man.
Hey, it's no problem, Wes. So, with you being the director of this new film, one of the things that I want to talk to you first about is how was it working with Bruce Willis on this film?
You know, it's like one of those bucket list things, man. He's a legend in the industry, and and as a young director, you just kind of find yourself sitting there sometimes, just kind of pinching yourself. And it's like, wow, that's Bruce Willis. But then you can't fanboy out because you got a job to do. So you just kind of get in and working with him, and just watching him slide into that zone of the Bruce Willis zone is so amazing, man. So it's just like, one of those things where you're just, humbled and appreciative, thankful, and also proud of the work you did.
Well, so what were some of your inspirations that drew you to actually working in the film industry and wanting to become a director?
So I've always loved film, man, since I was a little kid. I used to have this little Pixel 2000, which was a camcorder that recorded on an audio tape, and my mom got it for me, and me and my friends would make movies in the neighborhood, and I've always been just a film lover. And then honestly, man, when I went to college, I wanted to go into like the TV video program, but it was full, and they only had pre-law. So I wound up going on the pre-law side, but that love for film never went away, man. And it was just, even with my law office, it's decorated with legal movie posters. Even in law school, I'd be watching like The Rainmaker and The Verdict for like motivation and the practice. And so yeah. And then about 2015, man, I had started dibbling and dabbling a little bit before, a couple of shorts here and there, picking up a camera, learning to write. In 2015, man, I was just like, this is it. Like, it's time to make the switch. So to practice, man, and went all in on the filmmaking side.
So what's some of your favorite film genres?
Genres? I love all genres, man. I love the crime dramas. I love the action movies. Honestly, for me, I love science fiction, man. That's really like one of my passions. And, I love a lot of different genres, man. And as a black filmmaker, I think it's a benefit to be able to, jump in between genres and not kind of get, pigeonholed into one. And, but yeah, and then, of course, I hate calling black movies urban movies, but like definitely, our dramas with, our black stars, man. It's, I definitely have always watched those.
Okay, so I heard you touch on the science fiction genre. What would be some of your favorite sci-fi films?
Man, I think the first one and probably the more seminal one for me is The Matrix. I still remember me and my best friend back in the day when The Matrix dropped. We're sitting there watching this movie with surround sound and hearing all these bullet shells just, dropping and, ting, 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 ting. It's just so well done. And, of course, it's still a classic to this day. And that's definitely one that I still watch, to this day, like if it comes on. And then, you have like the first Terminator. That was a really, great one. I look at, the scrappiness of James Cameron and being able to do something, that is great, but also not tons of money and be able to do that. So that's a seminal one. Those are probably the two that, that really stick out in my brain. Of course, Star Wars. You can't forget Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot, man. Like I could keep going on and on. But those are the ones that, if they come on to this day, I would still watch them.
So a quick question that popped in mind: would you consider the entertainment industry as being a Matrix type world?
That's a deep question, man. I think on some levels you can. And I think on some levels you can. I mean, I think on the level that you can is because, you know, the entertainment industry is kind of somewhat of its own closed off little world. And oftentimes when you're in that, you don't really know what's happening, you know, in the rest of the world. But at the same time, you know, I guess using the Matrix as an analogy, you know, you can, you know, jack your way into the Matrix and make some things change. You know, it's not easy. You have to fight past all the no's that people are going to tell you, but you can get in and get things done.
Okay, so the reason why that question kind of popped in my mind was considering the last film and kind of the plot of Neo being this video game developer, and you see the characters living a totally different life, and some of them kind of remembering each other and they remember the feeling, but not necessarily realizing how they're connected until later once the battle commences. I kind of feel like the entertainment world is kind of that. It's a world where things are going on with so many different people that the average people don't see that's happening.
Oh, 100%, man. Like, you know, the behind the scenes honestly really is the industry, man. And sorry, Back to the Future on my other list too, man, in case this gets published.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep Back to the Future there. But no, I agree with you, man. There is a lot of the behind the scenes, and I think that analogy is very astute.
Oh yeah. So before we get ready to talk about your new film, A Day to Die, one of the things that I want to do is make sure that we give a special shout out to our sponsor, LAE Enterprises, living and elevating. If you need any trucking needs and you need anything done to live and elevate your life, make sure you check out Living and Elevating Enterprises. On the topic of your new film, A Day to Die, what made you choose the location of Jackson, Mississippi as the background for this film?
So first, Mississippi was approved by our financier as a shooting location because they have a wonderful tax credit and are very film friendly. And then for Jackson, you know, we wanted a place that had a nice urban landscape because, you know, this is kind of a glossy / gritty film that, you know, a lot of it takes place in the hood and around the hood, but also in downtown and some beautiful backdrops. So I needed to have both of those worlds to be able to explore. And then so I went to Jackson, really, you know, loved the landscape, and then started meeting the people. And man, I'll tell you what, like, the people are what sold it. It was like, yeah, this is where we're gonna make this film. So those are the reasons, man. And so we really loved shooting it there, and I actually look forward to going back shooting again.
Okay, so we're speaking about the background. Can you elaborate on what drew you to the people in the community?
Yeah. So first, you know, anytime you make a film, it's super hard, and you know, something we were biting off a really big, you know, chunk here, and we knew that we were going to have challenges. But it's just like being somewhere where people want you and are happy to have you, and who are friendly, and who will bend over backwards to help you. And when you have people like that, then you want to be part of it because you like help giving, you know, certain experiences that people in the community may never have. You know, they may never have another opportunity to see themselves on the big screen. They may not have another opportunity to see their city represented, you know, beautifully on the big screen. And so you just, you know, become somewhat like family in that way. And yeah, man, it was just the hospitality. And then the mayor, and then the state senator, even the governor, you know, like, you know, they let us, like, you know, stage some elaborate action scenes outside, you know, the governor's mansion, and they could have been, like, really jerks about it and said, no, go away. They didn't. They had their staff out there watching. And, you know, art is one of those things that transcends all generations and centuries. You know, we still read poems and plays and things from, you know, 1500s and earlier. So, you know, and all those action films are art. And so it's just nice having that community recognizing art and being part of it and not trying to stifle it.
Speaking of the mayor, you guys were able to get him to make a guest appearance in the film. How was it with working with him for this project?
Oh, man, he is like, you know, I don't have anything but good, you know, good things to say about the mayor, man. He was, you know, again, like, you know, when we needed something, he opened up the resources to the city within reason. And, you know, having him on set, you know, it was pretty easy to direct. You know, he wasn't trying to pull rank or nothing. Like, I'm the mayor, you just, it's cool. So, No, he did his thing, man. It was great on camera, and yeah, it was cool.
So Kevin Dillon, a lot of us know him from Entourage, Acclaim. What is something that drew you to actually casting him in this film and actually trusting him with such a powerful role?
That's a really good question, man. I knew him a lot from Entourage as well, and always knew that he was a really good actor. But the getting to sit down and chat with him and talk to him and hearing like what he thought about the character and how he felt about the role and his energy and just a nice guy. And then after that first conversation, and realizing, listen to him discuss the character motivations and objectives and those things, I felt like he was really in tune with the character that was written and would, be able to make him his own and add his own level of twist and fullness for that character. And then he did remind me, like during our conversation, he was like, "Hey, don't forget, I've done a lot of dramatic work before Entourage, man. Don't forget I was in like Platoon." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." It was really cool. Yeah, it was really cool, man.
One of the other powerful presences that you guys actually have in the film, actually starring in a role, would be Leon. What's something that made you think that Leon can pull off that role?
So Leon is sophisticated and amazing in everything that he does. I mean, I just got to be honest. And so with this character, because he's not a typical quote-unquote bad guy, we needed somebody with some emotional complexity, with intelligence complexity, and Leon brought both, and also brought a level of charisma and machismo to the role, so that so you ride out with this guy and understand that he's not just a cookie cutter character. And his relationship with another lady played by Brooke Butler, is the crux of the film. Which if we're not successful in you getting into that relationship between those two, then a lot of the other parts of the film don't hold up as strong. But both of them were like super amazing, did their thing, and rock and roll. But Leon literally stole the show.
So with this particular film and the actual, I guess, the premise of the corruption element with the police and the criminal aspect, what is something that drew you to create that story and work with that story around it?
So, when I first got the screenplay, it was just straight, girl gets kidnapped, they go try to get the girl, a lot of people die, the end. And for me, I always, everything that I do, every film that I make, I make a challenge for myself and set some goals. And this one, I wanted to rework the script a little bit, to add a little bit of layers, a little bit of depth, to make it, add a little gravitas to it, and also infuse a little bit of, issues that are important to me. And so, that was the real impetus of me, doing that. And it just felt like, I wanted a metaphor that we could ride out with, in the sense of, the way we are today, we're so divided, everything's so divisive. Where, we all plant firmly in our little corners of the world and refuse to see that other people from other sides may have very valid views. And I felt like, look, let's just do an action film with people that you would least expect to have to come together and do come together to defeat a common, enemy or to accomplish a common good.
Me personally, I enjoy films where you can see both sides of the coin. Do you think that the hero can be the villain and the villain can be the hero?
Oh, all the time, without question. And so that's kind of, one thing we wanted to look at. We wanted to set up a couple of characters that made them feel like they were the hero until we realized later that they weren't, and vice versa. But I think, with the complexity of our human condition and characters, we are all complex people. And so being able to explore some of those complexities, even in the course of an action film, is, a privilege, and also, I think, a responsibility that we, have to take seriously as filmmakers.
Okay. What's one thing that you would like our listeners to take away from this interview going into watching this film?
I think the answer to that would probably be, just kind of, enjoy it. Let yourself, enjoy the film, and that's it. Just know it's a film that we made, with a lot of love, and made it for an enjoyment, but also hopefully that you walk away, experience something a little bit deeper. But we really want you to have fun with it.
Okay, so with that being said, can you let our listeners know where and when they can check out the film and on what platforms?
Yeah, so it's literally on like all the platforms now, like Amazon, iTunes, Apple TV, Vudu, Redbox, the box like at the stores also on demand. So pretty much anywhere where you can purchase like films on demand is there. And it came out on Friday, March 4th, and it'll be riding out there. And it's still in a few select theaters. If you go to my Instagram, I am Wes Miller. I have a picture on there that has the locations where it's screening.
Okay, so for our audience members who want to keep up with you much more, where can they do that and how can they do that?
Yeah, the best place is Instagram. I'm still bad at social media. I'm trying to get better at posting a lot during this release, and so I'm getting a little bit better. But yeah, the best place is Instagram, and it's I am Wes Miller. And yeah, you just follow me there.
Wes, I thank you for taking the time out to interview with me today. I hope our listeners actually get a chance to watch A Day to Die. I hope they enjoy the film, and I hope they actually get a deeper understanding for what you're actually trying to put across on the screen from this interview. And with that being said, this has been another episode of The Rich Banks Show. That is Wes Miller. Thank you to Illicit Sound, I'm in Media. You can catch this interview on streaming platforms. You can catch it on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and you can catch it on Apple Music and or iTunes or wherever else you can find podcasts. Wes, I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you for having me, man. Hope you guys enjoy it.
All right, you too, man, and you have a good one.